Okay, hi guys. Today I just want to talk about what I wish I knew when I was in first year. So I'm going to be giving you advice that I really wish I knew. So I'm going to start from the beginning. So I'm assuming you are in first year or starting first year this year. So this is for the 2020 kids. Welcome, congrats. You guys are starting a new chapter of your life in a new decade and stuff. That's fantastic and I'm really happy for you. I wish you all the best. Now, going on to what I wish I knew. So first thing I wish I knew is that getting to UCT, that I was going to be bombarded with so many new things.
Okay, let's say you're making donuts, okay? And you're gonna make, say, 5 batches, and you make your first batch and you've put in all the flour and all the other things that you need to put in there. And then you taste one of the donuts from the first batch once they're ready, and you can taste that something's wrong. And then you decide, okay, so that means you need to adjust something for the next set. And then so you go and you add more oil, you add more sugar, you add more salt, and you also increase the heat for the second batch. And then you taste it and it doesn't taste good at all. So now when you think about what you've just done, you realize you've wasted time because you changed so many things that you can't really tell what caused what, or what made it taste better and what made it taste worse. And that's kind of the same thing that happens when you join universities. Like, you have a lot of variables that change when you get into universities.
Okay, now you understand from what I just explained that it means that when you're arriving at UCT as a first year student, chances are that a lot of the variables are changed, a lot of them. And so you might not know what's happening, you might get confused, you might find that things are not going the way you want them to do. For example, the first thing I noticed when I got here in terms of studying was that I was not reaping what I sowed. And this is in that I was studying so much and so hard, but my results were whack. They were not good at all. I was lit. I'm not going to say the numbers because they are 35%. I was not supposed to say that. Okay, but anyway, I was failing in my first semester, and it was a nightmare. It was like so heartbreaking. I was like, but I thought you always reap what you sow. And for me, 2 things that hit me as a shocker were that, firstly, after finishing matric, I had my distinctions and stuff like that. And I thought I was on top of the world and I would not have to suffer anymore because I suffered enough in matric in preparing for those final exams. But lo and behold, that was just the beginning. So I get to university and they expect me to go just as hard, in fact harder. So the gap between university and high school, or high school and university, is a bit steep for some people. Of course, some people it's not, but it depends on what school you went to. So if you went to an ordinary and fairly whack school, then chances are you're going to get here and you're going to feel like this is a lot that they're asking of me, especially if you're doing something like actuarial science or accounting or computer science and things like that, or engineering and maybe a few other things. But generally you will feel that university is intense. And so to make your life easier, you should probably try and keep as many things constant as you can. So try to not have too much change. For example, you might find that you've moved from home, you're now staying here in Cape Town, close to UCT, and you have to do things like cook and maybe, or if you're lucky, you're in a catering res, which food is catered for you. I don't know. A res where they give you food. There we go, problem solved. English. But yes, where they give you food. And so you are lucky, then use that to advantage because you probably come from home where you weren't really making food for yourself, I hope. But if you were having to cook at home and now you don't, that's awesome. You've got more time to sit and study, and you need more time to study when you're at university. Now, the one thing I wish I knew is that there are 1,000 societies that you get bombarded with right at the start. In the first week, I think it's called a week. And yes, they bombard you with a lot of societies. Everyone wants people to sign. Now, understand one thing. The societies need people. They need you to sign because that's what they are there for. They are there for you. But not all societies are there for you. And you're a new student. You don't know how many societies you should sign up to. So I would say, for first piece of advice, sign up to maybe one. Listen to all of them. Don't sign up to the first one who harasses you. And yes, they will harass you. It's their job. They're supposed to pressure you into signing up. But be strong and say no, give me your details. I will decide at the end of this week which one I'll sign up for. And then you try and hear a few of them out and then choose one, sign up to that one. And then the others, you can check them out later once you've started your courses and you feel you have time to engage in more of these things. Because chances are you're going to sign up to these societies and you're going to find you're so busy, you never show up to any of them. And then you've paid money for them. Yes, some of them charge you money. If they are free, you should probably still consider the fact that they're going to send you 1,000 emails a week. Might be annoying, and it's also a bit difficult to get unsigned up from the society. Your English is far today. Anyway, but yes, so societies, try to be wary of them. Then secondly, if you're a sports person, you're a musician, you're a dancer, you're you're at some extramural thing that you were doing before, you're probably gonna have to tone it down a little bit. I wouldn't say cut it out, I'd say keep it at a low level so that you have more free time to do your schoolwork. If you're still staying at home, if you're still staying at home, try to minimize the number of times you're going out or seeing other people or talking to family and stuff like that, just until you've gotten your first set of results back. So now, in terms of studying, because that's what you've come to university for, the first thing is, you don't know how hard. It's like someone tells you hit this thing in just enough to break it, but not too much. And then you've never hit this thing before. Well, the best shot you have is to hit it anyhow, and then from that, see if you hit and it crumbles, then you're like, okay, I hit too much. So the next time you have to hit, you'll hit softer. And if you hit very, very hard, very, very soft, sorry, and you feel bad and the thing doesn't break, then obviously the second time you're gonna hit a lot harder until you get the kind of hit that properly, I guess, just crushes the thing in a bottle that you're hitting. I hope that's a good example. But yes, so that's the kind of like studying. You don't know how many hours you should be doing. You've got 24. You need to decide how many of them you'll sleep, how many you'll eat, how many you'll talk to classmates, and how many you'll study. So I would say try to study as much as possible. So probably sleep for seven hours. I would recommend 6, not much less than that. I really don't think you should sleep less than 6, and I might do a video about that later, but I'll decide, I'll see. But 6 if you really need to, but 7 hours is good. And then 8 if you really are efficient and don't have distractions, then sleep 8. But if you do have some, then probably 7 is a good number to settle on. And then spend 2 hours in total doing other things like eating, washing and stuff like that, and maybe checking your WhatsApp. Then the rest of the time, try to fit in. Obviously you'll have lectures, so that might take you like 5-6 hours. And then the few hours that are left, try to spend them studying, at least for the first 3 months, just to get into the habit. And I say this because then after about 3 months, you should get your first test results. Then you'll see, am I overperforming? Am I underperforming? If you're overperforming, good, keep overperforming. And what you're doing is working. If you're underperforming, adjust, punch harder, work a little bit harder. That's why you get those test results quite early like that, so that before the exams and so on. So that's in terms of deciding how much you should study. I can't tell you now how much you study, because some people come into university knowing a lot of the things that they are going to be taught in first year. Others come in knowing nothing. So I can't say study 8 hours or study 7 hours or study 10. Some people don't even have to study at all and they'll still flourish up in here. And so that's why I say be careful of signing up societies, because some of them take a lot of your time. Some of them require a lot of commitments, especially your extracurricular activities also. And they are encouraged at UCT. And so you should keep up with them, but your priority is to make sure that you are passing and getting the degree that you signed up for. Now, fourth piece of advice is partying. Partying is nice, it's good to have parties to go out, but have a backbone. If you don't have a backbone, then you probably shouldn't be partying. So know your things. Know, like, when you feel you can't afford to party, you need to study, then stay at home. Don't go for the vibe or the clique that you're with, because they are partying every Thursday, I'm going to party. Some people can afford to party every single day and they'll still pass, and you'll have some of them around you and they are your friends. Some of your friends will have easier courses, and some of your friends don't care about their degrees and their studies as much as you do. You need to realize that this university, it's a one-man game. There's no groups here. Even if you can do a protest and you are all together, we are one, we are united, but at the end of the day, it's man for man in this game. So if you are not going to realize that and start following other people, you're going to play yourself. And you know DJ Kali says, don't play yourself, don't even play yourself. So be careful out there and just make sure that you keep reminding yourself that I'm in this alone. Something that shocked me also when I got to university was that some of my classes had like 400 people or more in them. This is crazy because I came from a school where there was about 700 people in total from grade 8 till 12. Now I'm sitting in first year in one course having like over more people than what I had in my entire school. So you'll find that it's a nerve-wracking to ask questions in class. But ideally what I've realized is people don't really care about someone they don't know that much. Like if someone ever feels like you asked a dumb question, it's in 2 seconds and they've forgotten about you. So ask every single question you have. The lecturers, some of them are, insert strong word, are those things, but you shouldn't care. Some of these lecturers don't want you to, some of these lecturers don't want you to ask them questions, or they hate it because you slow them down and things like that, and they want to show, oh, I can teach fast. Don't care. If you don't understand, ask. But of course, now don't be that annoying person who, when the lecturer says, guys, for tomorrow's lecture, pre-read this, and then you don't pre-read it, and now you are asking questions that could have been easily answered if you just did the damn pre-reading. So don't be that person. Try to make sure you're doing your pre-reading so that you don't ask unnecessary questions, because that kind of just annoys everyone and the lecturer himself also. But either way, the lecturer should be answering your questions, at least respectfully, even if, and so on. So don't be shy, don't worry if that practical is going to think you're dumb. Chances are everyone's wondering what that question, what that answer is, or what that thing is. So always ask, and don't be shy about the number of people. Sit in front, it's probably a better idea in front of the lectures. Someone told me this, I don't know who told me first year, but they said sit in front, and I think that was a good idea because there were less distractions and you're more forced to stay up. Also sleep properly and eat properly. These two things are very important because eating healthy keeps you healthy, and so you can also, you're a healthier student, and your brain functions better when you give it all the nutrients that it needs. So maybe you might need supplements. Consider, check that out, find out. And sleeping properly means you don't yawn and you aren't always half asleep in your lectures and stuff like that. So you actually learn in lectures. So some people just come to lectures as a formality. Next thing is, please don't fall into this thing where when test week comes you miss all your lectures. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you're a person who really has mastered the art of cramming, then maybe yes, but it's generally not a good idea because you miss out on work that they're teaching, and after the test you just have to catch up. And most of the courses here, the minute you fall behind, you basically stay behind. You're always catching up. So I would say it's not really generally worth it. You should just be studying all the time and doing all your work, so that when test week comes, you can continue smoothly going to all the lectures like the good students do, and you'll be fine and everything will be great, and so on. And another thing is, don't worry about failing. It's actually hard to fail also at university. It's not that easy because you actually have to really be Another thing that I really think was very important that I did while in first year was that I made friends. I made lots of friends, as many as I can. Approach people. People are generally willing to talk to you when you're on the jam shuttle. I don't know. But when you're on the UCT buses coming to Upper to go to a lecture, talk to whoever is next to you. Ask them what are they studying, what's their name, blah, blah, blah. Keep talking to people, because these friends that you make will help you. You'll find this one had a brother who did this last year and he gave him these things, these resources and these PDF documents that are helping him. This one knows that this one has done this course before, or this one knows this work. And so all these people become helpers, because every time you're sitting at home and you're stuck with that MAM 1000 question of integration by parts and you can't solve it, you can literally be like, yo bro, oh yo, hey, what is the answer to this question? And they'll give you an answer and you can continue with your life instead of being stuck there frustrated. So even if you're an introvert, force yourself, go out there and practice, and all these things come easier. Like I found it hard to make my first 3 friends, but the next 100 was super easy. I could do them, make friends like this. Ask any of my friends. I talk, I've become so, like, you wouldn't believe that I used to be so dead shy. Like I used to, oh God. I'm gonna stop right there because now I'm remembering the old me, and those are dark days, very dark days. Anyway, make friends. Those friends are very helpful. They'll keep you safe and they'll also help you remain emotionally intact because you can complain. And students complain a lot. I honestly don't know. I kind of believe complaining doesn't really amount to much, but it might sometimes, because I have complained a few times to some friends and they're like, oh no, that you're struggling with that just because of blah 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 and blah 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 and stuff. So oh no, he's not giving you that much stress, Jonathan. No, I have this PDF that really explains this thing very nicely. Here it is. Or what's your email? I'll send it to you. Boom, and then my complaint led to something good. So I think at university, some complaining does lead to good things. So don't ever deny the power of a good complaint. Okay? Thank you for watching. Keep well. I wish you all the best.